Hey there, hello to everyone in the stream and hello to anyone listening on the live stream. This is, I should come up with a cute name for this, right? The Entrepreneur's Live Stream, Building a Business. The title for today is Building a Business from Scratch Without a Silver Spoon. So that is the topic for today. And I kind of feel very passionately about this. Hey Adam, how's it going? Because as I've kind of been talking about lately, and as the topic has been, is kind of getting started, but also finding those role models who really speak to where I am and demolish my excuses, right? That's really the goal right now, is to take action, no excuses. That's it. Okay, so today is Wednesday, June 29th, and it is just now gone 12 o'clock. Hello, Couponing with Grace. So glad you're here. Good afternoon to you. And again, the topic is building a business without a silver spoon. And for me, the more I kind of think about this, the more this topic speaks to me at this moment, because I really feel like that's where I am at the moment. I feel like I have a ton of emotional support. Hello, Matt. Hello, Fruga. It's the 18th. It is 18 hours at. Oh, it's so. What is that? It is 6 o'clock in France. So hello to you guys, and really kind of. So I feel like at this point where I am in my business and wealth creation journey is I have a ton of emotional support, absolutely no financial support or anything like that, which is my competitive advantage. And I'm choosing. I just got a spam likely call. I'm not answering it today. So, yes, match, thumbs up, same. Because my family is amazing and I love them so much. They are so supportive, but there's like, it's like a negative nest egg. Like if anything, it's like I have no help. And I mean, like people talk about getting loans from family to help them, to like that's, I feel like I would be in the opposite position, like where I would have to loan money to a family member. I wouldn't, because that's not how we work. There's no loans. It's a gift if you need a gift, but no loans. So I really resonate with having absolutely no financial support. And here's the other thing is, not all support is financial. Sure, emotional support is very important, but having a model and a template to look at is also very important. And if you come from a family that's very successful in real estate or property, even if you never get a dime from them, the education you get around the dinner table is invaluable. And that's the education that I plan to give to my children. That's what I want to create. So that's my mission in business and in wealth creation and in life. But at this point, it's a little bit, I don't want to say frustrating, but it's like, okay, I gotta realize my limitations and then realize my advantages. And I wouldn't even call a lack of financial education a limitation, because I've turned that into my advantage. And it's interesting because both my sister and I are very, very conscientious when it comes to money. I saw her on our family vacation. She had her like little notebook out and she was keeping track of expenses. And I'm like, that's really cool. And my sister's like, nope, it's out of necessity. And I'm like, I hear that. So we are both very, very conscientious when it comes to money. Hello, Stephen. So glad you are here. Happy to see you. So that's not having that education from our family really turned into both of our competitive advantages, but we're still starting way behind someone who grew up with that education from birth. And I want to acknowledge that. And if you're, I mean, anyone who can like lean on their family, and this is just the way it is, but it's like anyone whose family is not on government assistance, anyone whose family does not need them, does not need their support, like you're also starting with an advantage. And especially when it comes to family, that's something that I'm so happy to do to increase their standard of living. Um, hey, Roland Holland, good to see you. Happy Wednesday. How's it going with you? How is your real estate adventure going? So the discussion today is on building a business starting from scratch. And not just scratch, but I mean like without a silver spoon. And what I call a silver spoon is any type of positive education when it comes to finances or business or success in business or anything like that. Like, both my husband and I come from very, very humble beginnings. His father is incredibly learned. He's written 4 books. He's got his PhD. Actually, I think a couple PhDs and a couple masters. Like it's insane. He's very, very, very. He's a scholar. Fruga, it's hard to find workers who want to help people. I know the service industry is just decreasing. It's true. Very, very true. So his father is very, very learned when it comes to certain topics. On other topics, especially when it comes to finance or like decisions, like money-making decisions, it's just not his area of expertise. So that's something that he's had to teach himself, and he's been very fortunate in that. Very fortunate. And likewise, I've had to teach myself a lot of the things that I know about finance. I mean, that's the basis of how I work. I am self-taught in finance, in personal finance, because I was so terrible with it. I learned to become good and become aware of my finances. So I was actually looking over my numbers with a friend yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, the numbers are so small. You just need, you can count them all on your both hands." Jesus, honestly, being part of a big family, I think, has helped us through these tough times. Yes, for sure. Family can certainly help you through tough times, and the emotional support cannot be understated, because if I had to choose between financial education and emotional support, it would be a tough choice, because I mean, if you had a solid financial education, and if you're like, rolling in dough, you can always find the emotion. You can buy yourself a good therapist. But what I have is the emotional support, and I am so, so grateful and thankful for that. So that's where I am right now. I'm just logging in so I can see. Jesus, yeah, Jesus, you're saying if it was just you probably wouldn't have made it. Yes, same here. Family has been just amazing. Yes, not feeling alone 100%. I have one sister who's 6 years younger, and I feel like she's incredible for the most part. we go through our ups and downs like all families do. Roland Holland, you're doing great. You're back on the hunt for another property, kind of figuring it out with your criteria for the next one, price, location, strategy, etc. Emotional support has been priceless throughout the whole journey. Absolutely. And I would say that's the one thing that I have just in abundance, and I am so thankful for that, for the emotional support of my family and the people that are closest to me. And here's the thing is, because that's like, I feel like sometimes that's all I have is emotional support. And if someone isn't providing me with emotional support, or if somebody is not super supportive, I'm pretty quick to just release them from my life. I mean, people would say that you could say that I hold a grudge, but I am certainly someone who values support, because I would say, especially if you're going to make a bad decision, sometimes all you need is someone to listen to you. Actually, most of the time, all you need is someone to listen to you. Almost never does giving advice help ever in any in any sector. I mean, sometimes, like, if someone's going to jump off a bridge, you don't want that to happen. Hello, Anthony. So glad you're part of the crew. Jesus, you're from a family of 8, being the oldest and the youngest, a senior in high school. Oh, very, very cool. It's a very mixed crew there, wide age span. How did you feel? Jesus, I'm the oldest too. I mean, oldest of 2, but still the oldest. And I feel like as oldest children, there are pros and cons, right? I feel overall I'm happy being the oldest. I also feel like there was a lot of want to say pressure or expectation on me, but there was. I do feel that way. I also feel like there was a lot of responsibility on me. Plus, that's just my personality, is that I'm someone that accepts responsibility. And my sister and I were talking about this, especially with my mom. I feel like she's full of notes for me. And that's just the way my mom is. We talked about this. She has very strong views. And in some ways, I feel like my sister was she's just off in her garden. She's like, doing her life, living her life, and that's all. And I'm the one that's getting like all the notes, and what about this, and what about this, and attitude helps. And I'm like, so it's definitely, with all that emotional support comes a lot of, say, not involvement, because I wouldn't say that my family is involved in, and by family I mean my mom, is involved in everything that I do day to day. That's certainly not the case. She's thoroughly involved, and I've had to set boundaries. I mean, she's wonderful when it comes to that. But just for both of us, she's had to set them as well with me. Roland, you were almost the youngest of 6 when you bought your first investing business idea to some older siblings. Oh yeah, you think your age in the hierarchy made you lose credibility, so support was mostly from your wife. Exactly, yes. Fruga, you're about to invest in life insurance. Exciting. Which life? Make sure that it's term and not whole, and life insurance isn't the greatest investment. Getting 1,600 euros. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. You make 1,600 euros and you only spend 300 euros. That's amazing. Good for you. Yeah, that's incredible. Great job. Roland Holland, even with a bigger family, support isn't always guaranteed. Yes, they've been very pleasant, but usually a little dismissive. Exactly. And that can sometimes be your competitive advantage. You're like, I'm going to show you, like, guess what your baby brother's going to do, right? Jesus, pressure is the word. Yes, especially when you feel you're not, oh my gosh, where you're supposed to be in life, 150%. So my sister got married in 2020, bought a house, and I felt behind compared to where I wanted to be in life. Not so much when it comes to experience, because I had done things. I had a college degree. I had traveled abroad. I traveled and worked and lived abroad for 2.5 years. So that's something I'm very proud of, actually. Really proud of, still to this day. Still to this day, of course. So she just had a different path. She started working a lot earlier than I did, and she and her husband are able to buy a car, or buy a house in Tennessee. That's just one more day left. Let's go with 29. Ooh, yeah, it's kind of low. It's where we are. It's just where we are, but not bad. So sorry, I'm doing some work stuff. So for a long time, for maybe 2 years, I felt like, not like she was beating me, but I wanted to join her where she was, being a homeowner, being married. And I was over the moon happy for her. Because she certainly proved me wrong. I didn't know that oh my goodness. So I'll come back to my sister, Anita. Do we consider moving to a low cost of living area like Tennessee? Maybe. The thing is, so my sister owns a house, gorgeous, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom? I think they're maybe 2-bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, half an acre of land, really, really pleasant. They don't get internet. Their internet service is very restricted, to the point where, along with other factors, she was not able to keep a remote job. It also wasn't paying as much as she would have liked. So that wasn't so great. But the internet speed was not, I couldn't live in the area where she's living, because I would need faster internet for my job. So do we consider that all the time? I consider that, and I guess my husband does too. He'll ask me randomly, how about living here? Would you move to this state? And pretty much yes. I see your comment, and I'll come back to you. So yes, I would move anywhere, provided that we had solid work. I wouldn't just move, but I would move into any low-cost area. Let me sort of caveat. I prefer to be coastal, But any other low caste areas, yes, there are plenty of areas with good internet in Tennessee. It's true. So some other areas that we've looked at are North Carolina. We were in Wilmington, and there's actually a branch of the company that my husband's working for now that is based in Wilmington. They have a fishing operation there, like a plant operation there. That's actually bigger than the one here in the city. So that's an area I'd move to. We've also looked at Atlanta, Florida. The thing is, and yes, I would move anywhere, because anywhere in the country would be cheaper than where we are living right now. The thing is, if you want, you can live expensive anywhere. And if you want to live in a nice area, especially when we looked in Atlanta, it was like Atlanta suburbs were almost identical to New York suburbs. So you have to kind of weigh that out. So what you're giving up, I think, is opportunity. So just simply being here in Manhattan there are a lot of opportunities in all avenues of life. So I think that's something that I don't understate. Jesus, maybe anywhere except California, which is funny because that's the one state that my husband would move to in a second. Because he loves the sunshine. He's a very outdoors. He's a farm kid at heart. Like he loves the land. He lived in Napa for almost 10 years on a vineyard and loved it. And that's eventually the plan. From when we retire, he wants to live on a vineyard and go back and forth to the beach. And I'm like, okay, I'm all right with that. If we could throw in a couple grandkids, that'd be awesome. Financial independence, that would be amazing. So that is actually the plan, because he's very sensitive to, as many people are, to the sun, and not the biggest lover of winter. Winter is actually my favorite season because there are no allergies, and I actually don't mind that sort of coolness, the cooler weather. So that's something that I don't mind. So yeah, we'll see when that happens. I mean, say it and it will happen. I would love to make that happen for both of us. We would be financially free in 8 to 10 years. That's the timeline. The way that we're going right now, we would need to adjust, and especially with kids, they're different expenses and different, yeah, let me stop myself right the heck there, because there will be a different trajectory, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. It is absolutely possible. It will just be a different trajectory for us. There's always a way to make more money. And I'm making myself say this out loud because this is the truth that I'm living into. Yes, there are going to be challenges, and yes, there's going to be a lot to overcome, but I am open. I'm available for the reality that as more expenses come, my income will triple. As more expenses come, my income will grow to meet and exceed those expenses. That's the reality that I want to be open for. So let's get into sort of the meat of this stream. And by the way, I love you guys' comments. Fruga, I'll come back to your comment now. You renovated recently. You spent 700 and change euro for your reimbursement as part of your apartment. You renovated by spending 10k euros. That's a hefty investment, but congrats to you for making that investment in your apartment, because you live there every day, right? So it's worth it, I would think. Okay, so this is the meat of the discussion, because what I would love for these live streams to become is kind of the blueprint of how I built my business from scratch without any type of silver spoon, like the title says. And it's not even that, it's like a negative, like I started at a negative place because I had to work to get to where many people start. So I have been aiming to come up with my own role models. I talked about that in yesterday's live stream, how I wanted to have role models that I look up to in business. And it's sort of my defeatist tendency to say, oh, well, this person has this and this person has that, and I don't have this and I don't have that. This person has successful parents, this person did this, and this person's a scammer, and this person is this. And I'm like, you know what? let's take the good and let's focus on that and work to make my own template to follow. So this is me writing notes, guys. I hope this helps. The next thing I want to talk about is my daily diet and what I do. Anita, I see your comment. And how I feed my brain and what my daily habits and routines are, because that is the secret to success, so many people say. I'm also starting a sort of challenge for myself, 30-day challenge, and we'll see where this leads, how this goes. I see no reason why I can't get this done and report back to you in 30 days with the results of that. So my role models, my daily diet, and this 30-day challenge is what I want to talk about coming up next. So Anita, your comment is you recommend the Knoxville area. Mountains and lake near, lower cost in Nashville or big cities, and some activities like concerts, etc. If you plan on keeping your job location isn't important. It's not, and it's less for me than for my husband, because I guess opportunities are easier to come by if you can get to them in person, at least just to interview or show your face a bit. So yeah, we're not really sure where we're going to end up. Now is not, I mean, Manhattan real estate is what it is, but he does own this property here, so we need to kind of work that out. So he's responsible for this property, and that's kind of what he's working out, and I am living my life. So getting back to building my business. So coming back to templates. But yes, thank you for that recommendation, Anita, on the Knoxville area. Okay, so talking about my role models and the people I follow in business. And these are smaller people. I don't think that you would know any of these people that I follow, because I tend not to follow the big people. For guys, see your comment, and I'll come back to you. So I just sat down and wrote out 10 of my, 9 of the people that I follow. Maybe you will know Ramit Sethi, maybe. If you're listening, Ramit Sethi, and I've taken one of his courses and I actually looked up to see if he has anything new. I met him at FinCon in 2019, just amazing. He was a speaker, and I just huge respect for him. And he is someone that I will look up to and I will buy from, because I really feel like he is upfront and 100% honest about what he comes with, and I really appreciate his approach. So Ramit Sethi, Natalie Massenet from Net-a-Porter, and the way that she started that business. Renee Cody, Renee, R-E-N-A-E, here on YouTube. Adrienne Everhart, who is a coach and a feminine energy trainer, which really admire her in business and in life. Leonie Dawson, Anina Bing, who is a fashion influencer who also owns her own clothing brand. 10K on the Bay, who can be a little bit controversial. I know people think that he's got some interesting dealings going on. I personally love him and his approach. He hustles hard, that kid, really hard. And Angie Belmar. So I don't know if you guys know who she is. She comes from a successful business family, and her husband also comes from a huge successful business family in Canada. Maybe 10 years, Stephen. I see your comment too. Is that about, oh, I see your comment. I'll come back to your comment, Stephen. So these are people that I look up to in business, and I'm thinking, well, what do I admire about them? And if I pull out the qualities that I admire, for example, Angie Belmar in Canada is a Beachbody coach, and she's just done very well in that framework. And so here are the things that I do admire about her before I even knew her backstory. And I found her via What's in My Bag tags. I love watching those because I'm nosy and I love seeing what people carry in their bags. So what really drew me to her was that she's super, she's got a great work ethic, and that's something that is the greatest compliment to me. If someone says you have a good work ethic, that's like a huge compliment to me, because that is something that I worked on that I was not born with. I was not born with a good work ethic. I think my family had a great work ethic, and that's something that I developed. I was a lazy kid, but I really learned to work hard. So that's my goal, is for someone to say, wow, you have a good work ethic and you work smart and hard. Second greatest compliment anyone could ever give me is that I smell good. So that's where that is, and that's what I would take to be the 2 biggest compliments that anyone could ever give me. So I really admire her work ethic, her hustle, her creativity, and the way that she transitioned her skills into a new industry. So she trained and qualified as an architect, which is not easy to do. That is a very, very challenging profession. And she managed to take her skills and transition them into digital marketing, essentially. She's a marketer. She calls herself a health coach, which sure, but she's in marketing, essentially. And she takes these great pictures and she's very focused in what she wants to achieve. She's all about Disney, so she and her husband built a house in Golden Oak, which is a Disney residence property, because they have her husband's, I think, aunt, or her husband's aunt and uncle live in Florida part of the year. So her husband's, I think, aunt and uncle, someone in her husband's family is related to the Farm Boy grocery chain, which is kind of what they're exposed to. So that's where their exposure and their education comes from. Angie's family is also very successful. Her mother started a paralegal business, I think, but that's where it is. And if you, like they've said in Q&As, oh, the reason you're successful is because of your parents. And they're like, yeah, sure, we've seen it. So we've done it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that she's a very, very hard worker. So I am really, I'm aware of that. It's like, yes, she did have a silver spoon. Yeah, what I would consider to be a silver spoon. Even if she didn't get a dime from her family. A, she doesn't have to support her family. And B, she's seen her family succeed, so she knows what success looks like. And I consider those to be huge advantages. Like, she knows what success sounds like at the dinner table. And of course, there are different, like, pros and cons that come along with that, right? You have sort of the family, I'm gonna say family pressure, but you have other family obligations on you, and it's not all sunshine and roses, even though you're, going to Santorini or whatever, or to Bora Bora. It's not always like, she might not have I don't know. They're judging someone else's Instagram reality is not where I want to be, but that's something that I'm aware of, that everyone has their pros and cons. But she's someone that I really admire for her hustle and the way that she uses her skills. So those are two things that I want to take from her and mirror in myself. So that actually segues into the 30-day challenge that I'm running with myself. And that is to wake up at 7 o'clock in the 7 o'clock hour, which is 2 hours before I need to be awake. And I realize that come September, I will need to be awake all the time and not really have any sense of, I don't expect to have any sense of schedule initially, but I also know that I will bring a schedule on myself. It's like I will have a schedule and I will invite my child to join me in that schedule. That is how I am planning to go about this. And I think it's even more important now that I kind of get these habits set so that I can grow them and use them to propel me forward. So let me take some comments. And today I just woke up, because I normally wake up at about 6, like my eyes are open and I'm like, oh, aware at 6, no matter what time I go to bed. Whether or not I get out of bed is another story, but I'm like, why don't I just get out of bed with the intent to grow my income? So let me take some comments now. Stephen, you saw a 20-year-old-ish video about monkeys and grapes. Yes. Yes, so I know what you're talking about, that experience where they give some monkeys cucumbers or something like that, and the monkeys are really happy with the cucumbers, but then they see another monkey with a grape, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, I want that grape. Yep, so I am aware of that. So yes, and when it comes to comparing yourself against other people, I think mine is more like thinking, oh, I don't want to say that somebody got there on their own. It's like if you see someone a level above you, you have like a 1-story view and someone else has a 2-story view, and you're like, oh wow, that 2-story view is really nice. And you think that they got there on their own. It's like, no, they were born there. Like, that's where they were born. And they were born on that 2-story view. They didn't climb up there, like they were born there. So I think that's just helpful for reframing things. But yes, I do know that experience, or that experiment you're talking about, Stephen. Roland Holland, you heard a guy at a sushi restaurant explain to his toddler how much a menu item costs and what else he could buy with the same amount of money. Wow, that is that's interesting. But here's the thing. I don't think I would do that. It depends on the frequency of your eating out, right? Because for me, eating out, my memories of eating out with my father, because we would go out on the weekends to Korean restaurants, which he could order in Korean. He was the only one in the family who could order in Korean, so we could only get that food with him. And we all loved it. My memories of eating out with him were just amazing. And I wouldn't necessarily want like, and I know there are teachable moments everywhere. I don't think I would teach about menu prices because I wouldn't want a toddler to think about money and the cost of the food you're eating while you're out. Maybe there are other circumstances. I mean, obviously not like at a big celebration or whatever, but we used to go out like pretty much once, every week. And that's something that was 100% worth it. So I get the idea of teaching your kids early on, and I'm sure there will be several teachable moments. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, with the monkeys. Fruga, yes, I did. Fruga, I did like the music that you recommended. If anyone is curious about the music that Fruga recommends, actually I can't because everything's on my Spotify on my phone. But it's in the comment on yesterday's video, which I will link in the description box down below. So yes, Fruga, very, very good. Good recommendations. So the last item, so we covered 3 items. These are my business mentors or templates, people I look up to in business. My daily diet. Mentors, people I look up to. The 30-day challenge, which is just to wake up at 7 a.m. Wake up 2 hours before I need to be awake to take control of my life, kind of like Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning. And then my daily diet. What am I taking in on a daily basis? What am I ingesting and feeding myself with on a daily basis? So something that I tried to do, because today I got up at 7 a.m. so I was able to be a little bit more intentional about my day, was to, sorry guys, let me keep track of these timestamps. Actually, I like keeping track of timestamps anyway. Makes it much more clear, right? So I was able to kind of guide my viewing rather than be driven along by other factors. I was able to be intentional in my web viewing, and I logged into Yahoo Finance. So that's something that I will check from time to time on headlines, and I think that's really important to kind of have an overview. I will, I guess, aim to cultivate a list of the things that I'm taking in on a daily basis that I find beneficial. I know there are a ton of these out there, but as someone who's not really financial in nature, by nature, it's helpful to have a guide of things that I'm looking at specifically for finance and business. So what else? If anyone's curious about my morning routine, when I'm on it, what my morning routine is I do 5-minute meditation. I listen to something that I took from actually Brendan Burchard, who's another business mentor. He does a release meditation. So if you search Brendan Burchard release meditation, you'll see kind of what that is. He uses the Moses Code music, and I listen to that for at least 5 minutes if I'm on it. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm making breakfast, sometimes I'm walking around, sometimes I'm doing the laundry. But listening to that is a good way to set my intention for the day, is in releasing everything, just releasing my expectations, my doubts, my fears, my limitations, just release. So I really enjoy that. And he has a podcast episode on that too. So if I'm extra on it, I'll listen to the full 20-minute meditation, and I love it. It's just the Moses Code music playing, and then Brendan's voice coming in every now and then saying release, 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 which is a great way to start the day. So that's one thing I will do. The second thing is writing out my 3 gratitudes for the day, and they are unique and specific to the day or to the day that's come before. Again, if I'm on it, I see such a big difference when I do that. And then the third thing, and this is, I don't want to say controversial, but I'm kind of in a place of reevaluating my faith and where faith lies in my life, the role of faith in my life, because for so long it had been front and center. I defined myself by being a Presbyterian, and there was a lot that went around that I had to release. I had a lot of expectations that I should not that I should not have had, but that were misplaced. So I will also, the third thing I will do is to check, I have a scripture app on my phone. And now when I watch vlogs, people are like, I just like to connect and pray, connect to God. And I really feel God's voice saying this, which is great and well. And that was me like 5 years now. Let me say more like 8 years ago. I was very conservative. I was very all these things, which is just the process of life and reevaluation, right? So I will still check that scripture app as a way to keep myself focused. And I do still tithe out of a joy of giving, out of a recognition that nothing I have belongs to myself. And that is something that's kept me grounded to the fact that I am not my own. And that's something that that's probably the one thing that I take comfort in. I still read Oswald Chambers. I still love Oswald Chambers. Yeah, it's an interesting journey. That could be a whole other video, not obliquely related to business, but not unrelated to business, because faith is essential for life, I think. But how I express my faith has changed. So that's kind of what I'm doing on the daily for myself personally to set myself up. And sometimes that will take me, if I'm focused, it takes about 15 minutes. Maybe a little more, a little bit less. But if I don't do it, that's such a critical part of my day that is missing. So I'm just kind of coming back to realizing that. Okay, so checking in on comments. Anita, you think I'm spending too much mental energy comparing myself to others. Do I enjoy any of the side hustles? Money comes when you do something you enjoy for a while. It doesn't feel like an obligation. And I can see this. I can see how it looks like I'm comparing myself to others. I think I'm more looking, and I can accept that. I think I'm looking to, again, look for a roadmap. I just want to know, I'm looking for the most efficient way forward. And while I would agree that, I don't want to say that money comes when you're doing something you enjoy. It's easier to make money when you do something you enjoy, but that's not always the case. I think when you are serving a specific need that is underserved in the marketplace, that's when you make money. So that, at least that's what I've seen. So what I enjoy doing is playing violin, viola. Am I great at it? No, I'm terrible. Not that I'm terrible, but I am not the best person. I'm not the best viola player. I am not the best violinist. And I know this. I love doing it, but I'm not going to make $1 million doing that. And when I say I'm terrible, I mean, my skills do not come naturally at a level that I would feel comfortable with. Roland, we're all human. Life is confusing. We have stuff to do, money to make. Yeah, it's true. Faith is something that keeps us moving forward. Yes, I agree. I think for me, faith is something bigger than myself, to realize that I'm not the end all and be all. I'm not the most important thing, really. And that actually helps me work harder to realize, oh, I'm not really that important in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's not that big a deal. So that's something that's very helpful for sure. Going back to that, like, you make money if you enjoy doing something that's not an obligation, because I think this is actually something that I don't say people get wrong, but is not entirely accurate. I don't think you make money when you do what you love. Because I really enjoyed teaching viola, and yet the fact that I didn't have to earn a living, and I guess it's a whole obligation aspect, sure, when you're feeling like you're not obligated to it, but there are 100 different ways I could think of expanding that. I just didn't want to, because I didn't feel like it served a need. So lots to think about there. And I think I really enjoy hearing people's business stories, because it motivates me and it inspires me and it helps me to see, like, you see the quilt, right? And it's, for me, it's really interesting to see the backside of the quilt and to see, like, underneath it and all the different knots and whatnot. And sometimes there are no knots, which is, I know, the way that you ought to do whatever quilting or cross stitch or whatnot. So it's interesting to me. And I guess sometimes I do tend to be very a little critical of myself and other people. This is something I'm actively working on accepting more. I was listening to a podcast, and someone was asked what the most important thing piece of information they would leave, and it's just to work on acceptance. And I'm like, 100%. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems now. And then the next step is just to get after it and to do what I know I can do. Alrighty guys, so we've gone for almost 40 minutes, more than 40 minutes, in this live stream. Light it up. Live stream. I don't know, we'll think about, like, what are we gonna call our lunchtime live stream crew? So that's where I am. Just kind of some updates. It's really exciting. I just heard back from the copywriting lady that I'm going to be working with for copywriting, who I found on Craigslist, which for me has had like the hands down the best response rate, hands down, for anything. Buying a car, buying you. Yay! Sab, hello. So happy that you made it. Sab, I've been meaning to check in with you. How are you getting on with listing your items? Your pile of money. I'm not going to call it a death pile. I'm going to call it a pile of money in waiting. Have you made any progress in that? Because I know sometimes just getting started is the hardest point, hardest part. Often just getting started is the hardest point, but I'm so glad you made it for the live stream. We're actually just wrapping up because I have to get on. I always catch the playback. Oh no, you're doing terrible. Oh no, it's okay. Not terrible. Hello, Savino. I'm so excited that you hopped in, Savina. Very, very excited. Mom fan up. If you're not following her, follow her. Yes, getting started is so hard. 100% agree. And that for me is what this waking up early is all about. It's like, it's just getting started, getting in the habit of getting started. Sabina, you don't know what all your time constraints are, but I can tell you, oh, yes, Sabina, excellent. If you have writing jobs, I will email you. That would be amazing, yes. So this one that I'm working on now is kind of for like fashion, which is exciting because that's something I love. But yes, I'm trying to like sort of develop a niche, but at this point I will do anything. I will do any research, writing, whatever. And my rates, she accepted 20 cents a word, which I'm like, cool, I'll take it. Which I would have to write 10 listings, and that's my $200. If I can do 10, if she has 10 listings a week for me, I will do 10 listings a week and make $200 extra a week, which is what I would need to close the gap between my daily and my my expenses and where my income is right now. So that would be just awesome. And then I could run that through the business, and that would be thing one of my business plan checked off. So yes, Sabina, if you have extra writing, I would love to connect with you. No time constraints to speak of at present, tons of free time at present. That may change come September, although who the heck knows? Like I anticipate having a lot of free time in which I'm occupied with other things, but still able to think, right? Yes, oh Sab, thank you so much. Oh, that makes me feel so good. You're saying that I've been inspirational. That is my goal, because that is what I am looking for. I am looking for someone to, that's what I need, someone to motivate, to be like, all right, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Who started from a place, and to be transparent, someone to be transparent about what they're going through, right? For me, it's this newly acquired debt that I wasn't planning on. That's kind of annoying, but I'm going to get out of it, and I'm going to triple my income in the process. So that's where we are. And again, nothing in play. I have no reason, no logical reason to think that other than this is my desire, and I know I can do it, and I know I can find a way to serve other people through this. And I think that's kind of the most important thing, because I know that I have something that somebody else is looking for. So Sab, I want to encourage you specifically, but anyone else who is listening, you have something that somebody else needs. And Sab, somewhere in that money pile that you have is something that somebody else has been looking for, that they're just searching for and are just wishing would come, and you're going to list it and they're going to find it, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to be serving someone and you're going to be making money. So that is my, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That is my word for today. Yes, do it this week. Sab, just start with 1. And if you can do 1, just do 3. And if you can do 3, just do 5. I love odd numbers, so you do however many you want. But yes, absolutely. And it's more than just vibes, it's action. Take action. Okay. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging on. This has been amazing. And thank you so much for being part of the live stream crew. Leave a thumbs up. Let me know if you're listening on the live stream. Let me know what action you have taken today to move yourself forward. Awesome. Yes, let's get after it. Wonderful. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you will watch or listen again soon. Bye.